I'm Janaka Sampath Gikiyanagi, and I'm the Director Development at the Ministry of Technology, Sri Lanka. And the Ministry of Technology is the key organization which drives the digital transformation process in Sri Lanka. And I have been engaged in this process since 2022 as a Sri Lanka Administrative Service Officer. And we have key stakeholders under the Ministry of Technology, like the ICTA, the Information and Communication Technology Agency, and the Sri Lanka CERT for the cybersecurity, and the Telecommunication Regulatory Agency as a key organization which drive the digital transformation process in Sri Lanka. And also recently we established the Data Protection Authority under the Ministry of Technology, which is going to be in operation in March next year. So this is a little introduction on the Ministry of Technology and myself. Ask citizens to provide the same identity related documents and education certificates each and every time citizens obtain services from different government agencies. For example, certified copies of birth certificate need to submit for the preparation of NIC, passport, driving license, school admission, additional to NIC for these services to each and every department. Interestingly, this certified copy should be one which has been taken within 6 month period. So, which is a really difficult thing for the people, and we have realized it. But since this organization working on silos, I mean that no one cannot tell that they cannot give those documents, and that's why we realize as the Ministry of Technology that we have to think about a whole of a government approach, and we have to work with these departments to have a national data exchange and establish the interoperability. Then these kind of issues can be solved, and the citizens can be taken their services from a single window when this organization connected to each other. So this is the basic requirement and the basic issue that we realized to have a DPI approach, which is even a new concept that we actually engage in this process last year, in the beginning of last year. And with our membership with the DPGA, the Digital Public Goods Alliance, and the Indian government's involvement in the implementation of the Sri Lanka Unique Digital Identity, leveraging the MOSIP platform. So in that process, we have got to know the DPI approach, and which is a key concept of career approach, which can solve many issues that currently we are facing. So that's a basic understanding on DPI, and that's why we thought of going for a DPI systems would be really beneficial for the Sri Lankan digital transformation. Issue of the different department which provide the citizen services working in silos, because each and every department they collect data their own mandate, and sometimes they don't share the data. And because of these reasons, when the citizens going to take the services, they are getting so many issues. So end of the day, we realized going for a national data exchange, because since this organization don't share data, we need to have a platform to facilitate them with sharing data. So the national data exchange is the only solution to have the concrete mechanism for sharing data between each other department. And also we need to have a data sharing policy, otherwise this government organization will not share data. And also we have got to know some global best practices, like the Estonian X-Road, which is a very established data sharing platform, and it's a DPI, DPG. So with that experience, we realized to have a national data exchange, and it will benefit a lot in different domains. Even we have come up with 10 domains, which covers 10 sectors like agriculture, tax collection, the health, education, justice, transport, the basic public services to the citizens. So the data sharing need to be happen between these domains and also within the domains. To give you a small example, in the agriculture domain, we have 42 organizations. Recently, in a study, we found that these 42 organizations collect data uh, for the same reason, and sometimes the farmers' data. Each and every department collect, but there's no single API or single data sharing between these organizations. So this is a duplication of government. I mean, duplication of the works, and also duplication of use of government money. So to having a data exchange will solve so many issues, and it will make the it will increase the efficiency of the government services. So the national data exchange is a key project that currently Ministry of Technology is engaged in. Now we are in the process of developing the proposals and discussing on the implementation process. Yeah. So talking about my role as the government officer and a director of the Ministry of Technology, representing Ministry of Technology Sri Lanka. My role is to direct the government organization into a wall of a government approach in the digital transformation process, as we have observed how government organizations have been work in a siloed manner without proper arrangement for collaboration among systems of each other organizations, and the drawbacks of it in providing efficient government service. I believe that developing this DPI system is the most effective way to achieve interoperability and connected government in Sri Lanka. And in my role, I believe it will pave the path to more citizen-centric government. So I have been working in promoting DPI systems and DPI approaches in the government in various forums and meetings. Also, I have contributed to include building inclusive DPI systems as a key activity under the connected government pillar in the action plan of the National Digital Economy Strategy 2030 we developed last year, and we have got the cabinet approval March this year, and we are now in the implementation process, and also we have obtained the technical support from the World Bank for this process. Then I am happy to say that there are six pillars in this digital economy strategy 2030 Sri Lanka, and which is one pillar is main pillar is the connected government, and under the connected government pillar we have action plan. In that action plan, the action activity is developing DPI systems. So, which is a key achievement we did in terms of deploying DPI systems in Sri Lanka, since we have already engaged in developing or deploying three DPI systems, including the digital identity, government payments, and interoperability. So we are in the process of promoting DPI and making awareness on DPI in the government, because we know the potential of it and we know the benefit of it. So in my role, I'm really keen on these initiatives, and we are working with international organizations, and also we had a DPI donor workshop in July 26 this year, that to get the support from donors to implement DPI systems and DPI approaches in Sri Lanka. So there are lots of initiatives now we are uh, implementing on DPI. So in my role, I am really keen on DPI initiatives and DPI implementations as a officer in the Ministry of Technology Sri Lanka. When talking about the stakeholders, the key stakeholders on DPI implementation, as I already told, we have already identified 10 domains or 10 sectors in the government, which are belongs to agriculture sector, the education sector, health sector, justice, transport, the tax domain, and like that there are 10 the key sectors in the government. So all the key stakeholders, when I told stakeholders, those stakeholders are the ministers on these domains. For example, the if I take the agriculture domain, it is the agriculture minister, and if I take the justice sector, it is the minister of justice, and all the other stakeholders like the secretary to the ministry and all the additional secretaries and the relevant directors who are in the process of the digital transformation, and also the other stakeholder like the donor agencies. So we have a collaboration with the UNDP Sri Lanka and also the Prime Minister's office, and there's a joint venture created by the UNDP Sri Lanka and the Prime Minister's office, which is called the Citra Labs. Citra Labs help us in the digital transformation process in various ways in with all the sectors I have told you, and DPI has been identified as a main area to work on, especially on the National Data Exchange Initiative. That Citra Lab is they have the expert on digital transformation, and they are supporting us to deploy this initiative and also to make awareness among these stakeholders. And we have already planned several workshops with the representative or the stakeholders of this domain, and we had an international discussion with the participation of international speakers and all the other stakeholders in the domain recently. And UNDP and the Citra Lab and the Prime Minister's office is also a key key party or key stakeholders in these initiatives in implementation of the National Data Exchange Initiative. So I would say it is not an easy process because we have to work with lot of stakeholders in these different domains, and I would like to say that this is a quite new term. DPI term is a new term for these domains because when we first talk about the DPIs with these different domains or the stakeholders, they're asking what is DPI and how it helped to digital transformation process. So we realize making awareness is a really essential need. Is a key requirement to do, because without that it will not be easy to implement the DPI approaches in the government, and because for the longer period these domains they have used to work with vendor lock system approaches, and when I say to use DPGs and DPIs, sometimes they feel like okay, we have to think about it and we have to discuss that with our stakeholders, like that there are so many questions. But we realized having continuous conversation with this domain and continuous engagement and workshops with domains is essential. And also approaches like we started with the agriculture domain with the support of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, a new project to establish the interoperability in the agriculture sector. So this is one project which supports our main initiative, National Data Exchange. Also, there we actually working with all the stakeholders in the agriculture domain. In the agriculture domain, we have 42 organizations. They do different roles. But as I already told you, they have lots of issues on data sharing and interoperability. Those are the findings of the IDET project, and we realize that this kind of approaches from the outside, like the Ministry of Technology, when they are working with these different entities, it is easy to realize the issues and to convince them the issue that they are having. So the National Data Exchange is a really important initiative when we establish the data sharing policy, and the National Data Exchange. It will reduce so many issues on data sharing and the citizen services, and it will play the part to increase the effectiveness of the citizen services even inside the government operations. So I believe this project is a really important one for the Sri Lankan digital transformation. I mean, in the first instance, it's not a easy process to convincing the other departments which have used to some kind of a different operational mechanisms. So the way is like we have to make them aware about the whole of a government approach and what are the issues when we looked at in the macro level. Like when we discuss it with them inside the department, they don't see the issues that the other departments having when their department is not sharing data, because they only think about their boundary and their digitalization in a silo approach. But since they don't have that bird eye view from top, like we see from the Minister of Technology, looking at the whole of a government, so we have to convince them and we have to tell them in a connected government how it should operate and what are the benefits when we share data. So how the government services can be make more efficient and effective, and how we can reduce the burden of citizens. So other way we tell, like the government officers in these departments, at least once a day in a month, or at least once in a quarter, go and see how other departments give their services, and what is the experience of citizens who are coming to see get their services, even what kind of a collaboration, what is this is a when government services cannot give alone, because if even the services given by one department, there is a component delivered by the other department. So we wanted them to go and see the experience of the other departments officers and the citizens who are coming to get the service. So in that way they can get understanding the bottlenecks, the issues, and how government officers and also the citizens uh, get more troubles because of the hurdles that they put on getting some kind of certified copies of birth certificate or the educational certificate, and each and every time. So these things we call a principle like ask once policy. So we don't want citizens to prove themselves, or the citizens to give the same certificates given by government to the another department, or so this verification should be able to done by the departments calling to other departments inside. When there's a connected or interoperable platform, the department each other can talk, and that burden of citizens doing that part can be reduced. So these things we need to explain to those departments officers. Actually they are really have understanding, but the issue is they don't have a way of working with other departments, like like officers like us who are working in macro level, and we who are working and who are seeing the government operation in the macro level, and who have a responsibility and authority to work in the whole of a government approach with each and every department. We can convince them and we can tell them, and with that actually they say okay, we know that, but we didn't have a mechanism to or person to tell these things, because we cannot directly tell the other department to do this thing and that. If there is a party who can overlook this thing and guide us, then they are ready to do these things. So what we realize is in these conversations, there's a need of another party to involve and give them these solutions. So the convincing is not a big issue. It's easy because people are ready to understand, because they know the issues as we realize. Yeah, I mean, for example, I can say the experience of the fuel fast system, which is implemented in 2022 with the economic crisis and the fuel queues. Uh, so that's a typical example that I can tell how we can reduce the long queues in the all the country within a 1 week actually. So even which only not uh, eliminate the queues and the fuel issue, that also reduce the fuel expenditure of the government by half. So because people in that days they tried to collect fuel in their houses in barrels. So with this fuel pass, by limiting the fuel into a certain amount, this issue actually solved within a very short period. So that is one typical example, and also there are examples like that, like the other DPIs in Sri Lanka, like the Lanka Government Network or the Lanka Government Cloud, and also Government Information Center. Those are implemented in 3 to 4 years back. However, these systems also facilitated the improve the efficiency of the government services. To say like the Lanka government service provide Lanka government network provide the secure fiber internet connectivity to 860 government organization. Especially this network provide internet connectivity to the grassroots level divisional secretary officers and the district secretary officers. So the only reliable internet connection in these areas, only this fiber internet connectivity, and with that actually the grassroots level services offered by the different departments can be now given very using online methods because of this Lanka government network, and also the Lanka government cloud, which provide the cloud services for the government. More than 1,000 website of the government hosted in this platform, and also all the important data, the private data, sensitive data is stored in the Lanka government cloud in key departments and ministries. So these are very important the public infrastructures of the Sri Lankan government, and also the government information center, the system and operational mechanism which established actually more than a decade ago, which is actually a really helpful platform for the citizens to get to actually know information on the government services. To say in a day, more than 6,000 calls received to this government information center asking on the government services, how to take government services, where is these officers, like that. So we have a short code called 1919 that anyone can call from there, any mobile operator, dial in the 1919, and they can ask any question on government services, and there is a dedicated staff available in that office to provide the data. So now we are in the process of improving this service more. So these are some of the examples of the similar DPI initiatives implemented in Sri Lanka, and some of the use cases which improved the government service and also the citizens' experience on the government service. There are many challenges we have realized, like infrastructure limitations, because the network connectivity is a key to the digital transformation process. In Sri Lanka, we have now fiber connectivity in all the areas of the island. However, there are areas still the fiber connectivity is not available, and also the broadband connectivity. I would say like there are many areas still to develop 4G broadband connectivity. So this is the key challenge we realize, and under the Ministry of Technology, we have the TRCSL, or the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, and we are working on a project called the Gamata Sannivedana. In Sinhala, it's called the Village Communication. So under that, we are now improving the broadband connectivity of the government, working directly with the telecommunication companies. And the other the other challenge is like uh, the data security and privacy, because when we first start in the discussion on the Sri Lanka Unique Digital Identity project, one of the biggest challenge was to convince the departments and the relevant agencies on the data security and privacy, because major uh, challenges came on this topic. So establishing cybersecurity measures and the data protection measures is key when we are having this type of all of a government systems. So you know that the issues that can be arise if there is any kind of data security and privacy issues. So that is one of the biggest challenge. And also, like when we talk about our current government capacity, the scalability and performance also can be challenged, because with the limited funding from the government, and we have a limited budget with the current economic crisis. So implementing a big, large scale projects, sometimes obtaining direct budget for this project are quite difficult, and those also can be a challenge. And also it will track the projects if we don't have the certain amount of funding to deploy these projects. So that is another challenge. And also, like I would say, in implementing this kind of a big scale projects and new kind of initiatives, a major challenge is user adoption and even training. So when we discussing on these initiatives in our awareness sessions, we say we can buy the technology, we can implement the technical solution within even one day, or maybe within 1 or 2 or 3 months. However, the adoption process is not that easy. So because we realize in the last 20 years, many systems developed by the ICTA, or that's a arm under the Ministry of Technology, who deploy these digital solutions for the government. Many systems failed because of because of the technical issue, but because of an adoption issue. Because there is a resistance to adoption, and also there are gaps in adoption process, and there was no proper adaptation strategy or mechanism. If we not put a strategy and very strong mechanism for the adoption process of in any solution, it actually try to fail. Because if the government officers in the relevant department or citizens not using these systems, there's no point of having the system. So that's why I say, for example, in the fuel pass system, it became success because there was a very strong adoption mechanism. There are more than 5,000 young students, sometimes students, and also some belongs to the Youth Service Council of Sri Lanka. We have given training for them, and we utilize them throughout the island to train these fuel shed operators and the machine operators with a very strong adoption mechanism. So that's why that becomes success. So adoption is a challenge, and also we need to have a very strong mechanism to implement this kind of a large scale project, and especially digital public infrastructure initiatives. Adoption is a very key important thing. And also training and support also, I would say it's a kind of a challenge if you don't have a certain arm or a mechanism. So those are the challenges. And also some operational challenges also can arise that we also faced, like real-time monitoring and control and load balancing and system downtime and maintenance. Those are like some operational challenges that we need to have a strong technical arm to rectify and mitigate this kind of issues. So those are the key challenges that we realize in the DPI implementation process. I believe adapting digital public infrastructure can transform governance, economic growth, and social welfare in profound ways. DPI adoption, especially, is a comprehensive process which should handle with careful attention to all aspects and all stakeholders in the ecosystems. Otherwise, there will be resistance and issues for the implementation of DPIs, particularly awareness building and creating consensus between the industry and the private organization is also necessary, as they might think of DPI as a challenge for them. You know this because we used to use vendor lock systems in more than, I mean, several decades. So that is a very important thing to be realized, to develop the ecosystem and the awareness and the benefit of it through the continuous awareness with these stakeholders. And also focusing on global best practices is a really important thing, because we cannot do these things alone. For example, for the Sri Lanka Unique Digital Identity Implementation Project, we are getting the support from the Indian government because they have a proven example, the Aadhaar system, the MOSIP platform developed by them. So by getting this knowledge and experience, we can shorten our deployment process timeline, and the technical support is really essential, because sometimes the developing countries, they are unable to, they are alone implement these systems. So focusing on global best practices and the experience of other countries is really important. For learning from global best practices and cases studies to tailor DPI initiatives to the specific need and context your country will be highly helpful. Further, the international collaboration and knowledge sharing can accelerate DPI adoption and success. Adopting international standards and ensuring interoperability can facilitate cross-border cooperation and integration, boosting economic and social ties. So, I would say to collaborate with other countries and use global best practices. In addition, having a strong implementation strategy is vital in implementation of DPIs. In that, private public partnerships engage with private sectors to leverage expertise, technology, and investment. Public private partnerships can accelerate DPI development and deployment. And also, you have to focus on the capacity building side. Invest in capacity building and skill development to ensure that public servants and citizens are equipped to effectively use and benefit from DPIs. Another thing that I would like to say, to have a user-centric design. Focus on designing DPI solutions that are user-friendly and accessible to all citizens, ensuring widespread adoption and impact. Then the most important thing when we are talking about DPIs, that is sustainable development goals. So you have to align DPI's initiatives with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to ensure that digital transformation efforts contribute to broader global objectives of sustainable and inclusive development. Then you can directly work with the donor agencies, and even you can obtain support for your implementation process. Uh, and also, finally, I would like to tell, by focusing on these key areas, decision makers can ensure that their DPI initiatives are effective, inclusive, and sustainable, leading to transformative benefit for their countries.